I'm back with video 2 for today, as the last one was a bit short. And in this one, actually, I wanted to go back to aspects of painting, and I wanted to talk about the hurdles and difficulties you might face when you're working on a painting, and how I see it and how I deal with them. So one of the things that can happen while you're working on a painting is you feel like you hit a wall, like you can't find a solution for a certain problem on the painting, whether it's the actual composition, color choices, the harmony, overall harmony. And I find that sometimes the best thing to do is actually take a step back, maybe even leave the painting for a day or two, and come back with fresh eyes. Because a lot of the time, you will find that the problem can sometimes solve itself, and when you come back, you can see, well, maybe I just need to make a few adjustments here or there, but the problem wasn't as big as you originally thought. And if you actually try to work on the problem and see it as a problem that needs fixing without taking the step back, what you can do is sometimes overwork the painting and just build on a problem that wasn't as big as you actually thought in the first place. So there is that aspect of it. But at the same time, there is something that's actually quite different to that, and that is, I sometimes find that the difficulties in paintings aren't really difficulties, it's just, in a way, leveling up, and you have to learn to break through or work through something and try to learn the lessons. And sometimes when you get to the other side, when you work on it and you allow it to take you wherever it has to take you, and you just pay attention to what's happening, you find that on the other side you can suddenly discover new techniques, you can suddenly discover you had abilities to do something or render something in a certain way, and you never knew that before. And that's just by being loyal to the painting process and just sticking with it. So you have to figure out what steps you have to take on in this. Maybe try one way, and if it doesn't work, then try the other way. And there are other aspects to this too, of course. There is, as I have always said, I think I mentioned this in another video, it's really important to listen to the painting, to communicate and understand that this is a give and take relationship. But sometimes when a difficulty does arise, it's usually you not listening. And I find at this point I need to not just take a step back, but reassess how I am approaching the painting, whether I'm just trying to force my ideas, whether I'm just trying to complete it without thinking about the fact that this is a journey, this is a person in its own right, in a sense. And if I don't respect the painting, then of course it won't bother to respect me in turn. So it's important to think about these different things when you face a difficulty, because difficulties aren't really problems. And I know when you start off as an artist, it can be quite daunting when you hit a problem in a painting, or what you consider to be a problem, because you think that, once you learn a bit of technique, you can then put onto canvas all your ideas without any problems. And if there is a problem, then you can just find a solution and then eradicate the problem and just continue. But the painting process and the painting itself is a far more complex experience than that. And it's important not to feel like you're not good enough, or that you're not capable of painting every time you hit a wall. Because these are things that like I said, these things teach you. And as you continue and you don't just give up, you will find that each of them taught you a lesson about how to improve your technique or improve your relationship to painting. And it's important to realize it's going to actually become easier as long as you show that devotion to the creative process. In the beginning, I had no idea how to judge how a painting was complete. So I was always very confused. I had problems everywhere in the painting, and I didn't know how to solve them all. Sometimes I actually left paintings for months on end until I knew I was ready to come to it more mature technically, or even as a person, as an artist. But it's important, like I said, to not give up, not to think that you're not good enough, you don't have the ability, maybe you should just not be an artist. Because these are things that will hit you quite early on, but as time goes, you realize they're not really problems. These are just moments of tension that can actually be useful in transforming you as a person and as an artist. But if you do have any questions regarding specific technical problems or anything related to the painting process and you want to know how I deal with them, then please ask your specific questions, like I said, below the video, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. But this is just a video pointing out that occasionally you will have moments of difficulty, because a painting is not a step-by-step process where you draw out the outline and just fill in with color. Each painting is an individual, and each will be its own person, and your relationship to the painting differs. So some paintings are really easy, you get along with them really well, they hardly have any tension in them. Other paintings are very aloof. I've had this before, where you can only work on them for a couple of hours and then you suddenly hit a wall. And at the beginning, you would try to work through it, and then you struggle some more, and then you realize you're not listening, and then you take a step back and you realize, okay, so this is the kind of painting where I will work on it a few hours a day, but then that's it, I have to leave it, and then I come back. You need to give it breathing space. So you can then go work on another painting if you're like me and you like to work on multiple paintings at the same time. But if it's really, and this sometimes happens, there are some paintings that are completely without any structure in the way they behave. In some moments they're great, and the next moments they are like a dark cloud. You have no idea how to deal with them. You cannot see the light anywhere. But you work with it and you figure out what it needs at every stage of the process. And like I said, by the end of it, you are a wiser person, because you've experienced something. You've experienced a specific relationship with that painting. And I mentioned this before, I see the painting process as a simulation of real life experiences, so that when you go through difficulties and hurdles and you learn to overcome them, you learn to be aware of the elements that create that tension. You become aware of yourself and how you react to that situation. You learn to respect another being. You learn so much in a single creation, in a single painting, that by the time you face the rest of life all around you, it's almost like you already experienced these things, so you know how to deal with them. So when I face difficulties in the outside world now, I use the wisdom that has come from the painting process to deal with that, and I get less flustered and I don't worry as much. Of course I'm still a work in progress myself, so it's still a lot to learn and still a lot to discover within myself. And as I grow as a person, I grow as an artist as well, so it's a cycle that feeds itself. You grow as an artist and your paintings improve, and the more time you spend with your paintings, you grow as a person, and it's a great circle actually. And I think any creative person might be able to say the same thing. So yeah, that is my take on difficulties and hurdles and the general attitude that I have towards them. But again, like I said, if you have any specific questions regarding certain techniques or certain issues that you're facing in your paintings, then do let me know and I shall try to answer those questions. Okay then, so that's it for this video. I shall post this up soon, so I hope you have a great day or night, wherever you are. And I shall see you in the next one later this week. Take care, bye.